So in the last video, we talked about food and how food can be such a trigger to inflammation and, of course, into autoimmunity. In our own office, I mean, there's so much emphasis put on food, and the reason is because we eat every day, right? Every day, we're putting something into our mouth multiple times a day. And the question is are the foods that we're eating, are they causing immunological inflammatory response, okay? So that's something to pay a lot of attention to. Some people would like to run a food sensitivity test, which is going to be quite helpful. But there's also people who can do elimination diets, meaning that if you're suspect of certain foods, but you just take it out. And the longer the period, the better. I would try to say at least 30 days. And if you can't do 30 days, try to do 2 weeks. But I would try to take the food out for at least 30 days and then bring it back in. The reintroducing phase, right? When you bring the food back in, you have to bring that food back in, at least take one serving every day for 3 days and just assess how you feel. If you have any changes from just anything, from brain fog to sleep issues to you're having a reaction, okay? So today, the other factors that are so important with inflammation, number one is sleep. And it's unfortunate because so many people have problems with sleep, right? If you go back to the early discussion that we had about the stress hormone cortisol, how it impacts your gut barrier system, right? But cortisol is your survival hormone. So when we have stress, right, we're releasing cortisol. So if we're releasing cortisol at night, right, we're going to be insomniacs. In other words, cortisol has a rhythm to it. It's highest in the morning, and over the course of the day, slowly has to drop down. And then it's at its low point. And it's inversely related to the sleep hormone melatonin. Okay, so in the morning, high cortisol, low melatonin, and in the evening, the cortisol starts to drop and the melatonin goes up. And that is your day-night rhythm called the circadian rhythms. Well, if we have stress, one of the most common causes of stress in the evening, outside of watching the nightly news, is our blood sugar. So if people's blood sugar is erratic and then is dropping down in the middle of the night, you're going to release cortisol because of the fuel delivery problem. When the cortisol goes up, it's going to override melatonin. Why? Because cortisol is your survival hormone. So if we have cortisol going up at night, we're awake. Okay, and that's going to be an insomniac. So that's one of the most telltale signs. But sleep is so important for recuperation, for recovery. It is a challenge for a lot of people, but you got to do whatever you can do to get sleep. If there's inflammation going on and you can't get sufficient sleep, recuperative sleep, your body just stays stuck in this perpetual inflammatory response. So you got to do what you need to do to get to sleep. You can practice meditation, you can practice stretching in the evening, which is good. I would put a lot of emphasis on blood sugar management. It is a huge culprit to dysregulation with sleep. So definitely, look at, when you're eating, are you eating too many sugary things at night? Give some consideration to that. The next thing that's so important is hydration. You take it for granted, but the average person over 70 is completely dehydrated. So it is really important that we stay hydrated. Your immune system can't function properly without proper hydration. Now, the mucus that we produce inside of our nasal cavities and our lungs and stuff, you can't make that mucus to kind of get the bugs to slough out without water. Water is what allows that to have that slippery surface to it, okay? So all the cells of your body need to be hydrated. The go-to is you do like half your body weight in ounces. That's always kind of the go-to standard. I would even say that, if you're got the flu, you got a bad cold, you're running a fever, way more. I would just say that at the gate is you can shoot for half your body weight in ounces, but I would just drink more water, right? Especially if you're a coffee drinker, right? You're drinking coffee is going to be a diuretic. If your diet is higher in sodium, so if you're eating a lot of processed foods, which hopefully the anti-inflammatory approach we talked about, you're going to get off the processed foods, but processed foods are really high in sodium. It's a preservative. A lot of people eat these, chicken sausages. They think they're gluten-free and they're healthy. If you turn the back over and you look at the nutritional profile, what you're going to see in there is the sodium content is really high. So I've seen them like 500 milligrams, and that is per link. So in that little small package of 4 chicken sausages, there's like 2 10 milligrams of sodium, that is crazy high. Sodium is inflammatory. Right? Around this inflammation thing here, but I mean, sodium is inflammatory. So that's inflammatory. That drives your sympathetic nervous system. That drives stress. That drives your cortisol. It's going to dehydrate you. So pay big attention to your sodium intake. Anything that's coming in packages or cans, pre-made, read the nutritional profile. Start to get an understanding of how much sodium is in there per serving, how much sugar is in there per serving. Don't go by the fancy labels that it's gluten-free and all that stuff, right? It's all a deception. That said, the other point is exercise. Okay, Scientific America, several months back, right on the front page, okay, as human beings, we have evolved to exercise. Why we have to move, right? Our brain and our immune system are directly connected. In fact, your brain has its own immune system separate from the rest of the body. But movement is firing into your brain neurologically, and that's firing down into your immune system. We tend to forget about the brain when it comes to inflammation or to our immune systems, but this is an immune controlling organ. So we need to take care of our brains. Now, let me just kind of finish this video up a little bit with some strategies from a nutritional standpoint and beyond the food thing. Just from an immune perspective, inflammatory perspective, you know, this Th1, Th2 stuff we talked about earlier, we want to pull that at Th2, we want to get more Th1 driven. So vitamin D and vitamin A are really critical for balancing and regulating Th1, Th2. So those are very high on my priority list. Okay? If we're trying to support Th1 and downregulate Th2, glutathione. Now, if you haven't heard of glutathione, it's the most important antioxidant in the body. The liver makes it, right? But we need to support that pathway. So a precursor is N-acetylcysteine or NAC. The better way is to go right to the source and take the glutathione. It's not easily absorbed, so the best form is in a liposomal delivery. So if you can't get hold of a liposomal delivery of glutathione, certainly take the precursors of NAC. Okay, but that's really important for downregulating Th2 and driving Th1. Vitamin C. Vitamin C is a Th1 booster. Downregulates Th2, brings that up. Okay, these are just like some preventative type measures. Going a little bit further is fish oil. With the components of fish oil, the EPAs and the DHAs are known as resolvins. And what does that actually mean? The important thing of understanding about the inflammation, about the immune system, as we said in the first 1 or 2 videos, right, is that it's appropriate to have your immune system to turn on and react against something that's foreign, right? And then at some point, the immune system should begin to resolve it. Go back to the sprained ankle concept. Sprain the ankle, it swells, it gets hurts. I go home, I elevate, I put some ice on there, and then I take some anti-inflammatories, and then perhaps, a week later, I'm not taking anti-inflammatories, I'm not packing ice, maybe I'm a little bit sore, but I see some improvements and I move on. I got the injury, I had an immune system response, and then I got some resolve. That's what an immune system is supposed to do. Well, what happens if 6 months goes by, a year goes by, and you're still coming home and packing ice on your ankle and taking anti-inflammatories? You would say something is terribly wrong. It's not healing, right? The inflammation has not resolved. And that is the biggest problem when it comes to infections, when it comes to autoimmunity, is that we don't want, the damage comes from when the immune system gets turned on and it's not resolving. The article that I was referring to earlier from Harvard Medical Journal, linking the connection to inflammation in all chronic degenerative diseases, they say very clearly where the research is going. They're not looking to stop inflammation. That's appropriate. Where the research is going is how do we get better resolvement, calm it down. That's what we want. So the complications that people are dealing with when they have underlying issues like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, as an example, underlying gut infections, is they are already in a perpetual state of inflammation. So when they get hit with something else, they're off and going, and they're not getting resolved. So the way fish oils come in, the EPAs and the DHAs, they're known as resolvins. These EPAs help to resolve the inflammatory response. That doesn't mean it's going to happen immediately, but it is certainly a viable tool to be using to help control inflammation. Now, the other two components that are so important is turmeric and resveratrol. Okay, turmeric globally is an anti-inflammatory, but the turmeric and the resveratrol also downregulate inflammation at a genetic level. So the fish oil is helping to reduce inflammation at the tissue itself, and the resveratrol and the turmeric is downregulating inflammation from a feedback loop created by the genetic expression that gets turned on. So your key players again is vitamin A, vitamin D, glutathione, vitamin C, fish oil, and fish oil has to be a high quality fish oil because fish oils can oxidize. So you don't want to buy an inexpensive brand. Really, what you're supposed to see is that the EPAs and the DHAs combined should be double the amount of GLAs in there. Now, a lot of products that I see don't even carry the GLA, which is omega-9s. So we're looking for a healthy ratio of omega-6s, 3s, and 9s. And there should be a high quality vitamin E in there, which acts as an antioxidant to prevent the fish oil from oxidizing. So that's my take. I hope that this has been informative for you. I enjoy sharing this information. So I'm going to put this up to you. So if you want to reach out to us, this is our website. If you go there, you can subscribe. If you want to reach out to us via email, it's drpucci@getwell-now.com for any information, any follow-ups, any questions you have. And if you need to reach us by phone, it's 201-261-5430. And I can just, we're back. So I've enjoyed our discussion here on the Immune Health 101, and wish you well. And certainly reach out with any questions that we can be of help to. Thank you for watching.